They lied to you. It may be hard to accept it, but listen to the truth. They lied. Not always with words, but at times with actions. The dismissive eyes, attitudes that push you aside, ears not tuned to the sound of your voice. It sends a message that is so subtle at times that it's barely perceivable at a conscious level, and then so loud in other moments that it rings in your ears. What is the message? That you don't quite matter in the grand scheme of things? Words like foreign, inferior, stain, and insignificant echo in the silence, and the shadows of those ideas hide your glory. Well, those words are not true about you and have never been. It's all a lie. Can you see it? Let's open our eyes. The lies sometimes tasted sweet, but quickly turned bitter. It affected your vision of the world and your place in it. The lies changed your inner narrative, what you thought about yourself, and influenced you to conform to the image they constructed. They made you feel that you don't quite measure up, but that couldn't be further from the truth. No matter how many times a lie is told by however many people, it is still a lie, just waiting to be dispelled. Under it, there is a secret that needs to be revealed. The secret is your value has never been properly assessed by the powers that be. The truth is, when it comes to your worth and your beauty, there is.
I don't think that beauty needs to be perfected in a sense, because everyone wants to perfect beauty when beauty isn't perfect. That's the beauty of beauty. My name is Ashanti Faith McKenzie. I go to Olympia High School. I am 18 years old and I am a senior. Hallelujah. My mom.
Gladys Epps.
That's my mother.
Well, that would be my mom and my grandmother. Those are the two most beautiful women that I know, that I can think of.
There's a song, and it's called I'm Every Woman. And in that song, I'm Every Woman, to me, the most beautiful woman is that every woman, all women coming together. That gives me an image of a beautiful woman. I was raised by strong, beautiful women with so many different beautiful skin colors. When I was a little girl, I would cry because I thought I was too pale. And everybody else had these rich, warm, vibrant skin tones, and I was a little washed out in my opinion. And I would argue with my mother, why did I have to look like my daddy? Why can't I look like you? My grandmama, Mama King, Nubian beauty, we called her, Aunt Christine King Farris, one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. So I was raised by beautifully, ethnically blended women with beautiful skin tones.
My grandmother, her spirit, number one. She's the first woman that I can recollect exposing me to God, and God is love. And so she was the first woman that I feel like exposed me to true love. She didn't love me because I looked a certain way or just because I was her first grandchild, but it's just genuine love. And I've seen her display it to everyone around her, the people at church, the people at her job, the guy on the corner who always sold us our fruit, the guy that worked at the Goodwill that would always say, welcome on in, ladies. You know, she was always a giving, loving, sweet person. And I feel like that is what made her most beautiful.
Well, they were really strong and they were confident. So they instilled that in me as well. My mom used to say that the prettiest woman in the world wouldn't fret her, which meant that regardless of how beautiful or how wonderful anyone else was, she was confident in herself and how she looked and how she carried herself. So they trained me that it wasn't so much what other people thought, but what you felt about yourself and how you presented yourself.
My grandma.
And why?
Because her beauty was not tainted by anybody's opinion.
But I guess the first one who comes to mind would be my mother, because of not just her physical beauty, but because of just the inner strength that she has, everything she's taught me and poured into me. And, you know, she's sweet, but when needs to be, she can be tough as nails.
So I would say my grandma, because like inside and out, she's beautiful.
Nia Long.
Nia Long?
Yes.
Why do you say Nia Long?
I just think that she has such a natural beauty.
Who is the most beautiful woman that you know? First thing that comes to your mind.
Me.
Okay. First thing that comes to your mind, who's the most beautiful woman that you can think of?
Me. Because if I don't think so, I can't think someone else is. And I think true beauty really has to be defined in ourselves first. Because if I call you beautiful and I don't have a representation of what that means for me, then I really don't know what I'm saying.
Oh my goodness, you know what? I think it would be a tie between Viola Davis and Angela Bassett. Mm-hmm. Angela Bassett, what it is that you're seeing on the screen does not begin to encapsulate the beauty that she holds in person, just her stunning aura. And Viola Davis is such a powerful force. I love the energy of her, and I love just the light that emanates from her, and that beautiful melanin, that magic. That's nothing to that is something to behold.
Beyonce. Her work ethic and the way that she performs, the way that she dresses, is sexy, it's classy, it shows boldness, it shows confidence, and I think all of that encompasses beauty.
I mean, my mom, she's so strong. She's been through so much, and like, there's some things that I don't know about, but when she talks about it with me, I can feel her strength, and that to me enhances her beauty. And she's beautiful, like as herself. Her physical body is beautiful, but her spirit makes everything about her more beautiful.
That would be my mother.
And why?
Just because her spirit, she loves kids, she loves people. I've never heard her say a disparaging thing about anybody, so she's who I want to be like.
Oh my goodness, listen, for years I have struggled with beauty. I have struggled because I'm a PK kid, I'm a pastor's daughter. And because of that, I always had to dress a certain way. And it had to be perfect. My curls had to be perfect. My ruffled socks had to be perfect. My patent leather shoes had to be shiny and clean, honey. And listen, I always had a problem with me. And I would look at other people and I would want to be like them. I would compare myself to them. But baby, when I turned 40, something happened. When I turned 40, I became a new me, and I began to love every piece of me. I would complain about my breast size. I would complain about my nappy hair. I would complain about my small feet because I wanted to have bigger feet because everybody else did. Everybody picked at me because I was bony. You know, that's way back in the day. I was skinny. But honey, now they can't tell me nothing, boo-boo, because I am me, and I am all that in a bag of chips and dip with a cherry coke.
I am the first thing that comes to mind. One of the things that I'm learning, or that I've learned, that I've developed over especially the last year, is self-love and beauty, and not being afraid to recognize my power and my beauty before I recognize others. And it's not a big head thing. It's like, yeah, you're beautiful. I am beautiful.
My name is Natalie C. Jones, and I am the founder and director of the CLIC. The most beautiful woman in the world to me would be my mother, because she's creative, she's kind, she's a lot of fun, and if you just laid eyes on her, you would understand why I say she's most beautiful. But that's not why I'm here to talk to you today. The CLIC is known for our transformational workshops, always led by dynamic facilitators. So I want to give you a little taste of that in this documentary. Now, you, yes you, take a moment and think about the most beautiful Black woman that you can think of. How do you see her? If the whole world could experience her, what would they think of her? Would it be good or bad? Why or why not?
Well, I think that, first of all, we're always portrayed as overly sexualized. They see us as, the lashes, the nails that are out to here, the tight clothing or revealing clothing, and they look at us more as objects rather than as women. And that being the case, what I would like to see is just a total change in how we present, because oftentimes we may look a certain way, but that may not be the way that we are on the inside.
I think the world thinks that we're ratchet and ghetto and that we talk too much and that sometimes we're all up in everyone's faces and we're just, oh, I'm this and I'm that and I don't care what you do and da da da.
Well, I think the Black girl is undervalued. I think based on the media, she's over-sexualized, and that her worth is more about her hips and lips than her brain and what's on the inside and her character. I think they've made her an object instead of a person in what they presented in the media.
The media portrays young Black girls as being less valuable, more adult-like, more aggressive, less precious, and I'm talking about all facets of the media. And there is a lack of celebration for Negroid features and a kind of hiding them in the closet, or wanting to breed those features out. But from what I see in the media, young Black girls in their natural state are considered to be unrefined and unpolished and just rough and just, that's what I see from the media. That's not how I feel, obviously.
Loving yourself is very important, but it's also important to know how other people perceive you. Now, lots of people like to say, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, but is that really true? We are not on this planet by ourselves, and as social creatures, how other people perceive us affects and impacts our life experience. Think for a moment. If you walked into a room full of people who loved you versus a room where everyone despises you, how would that affect your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions? How would they differ?
I think they think Black girls are thoughts. They think that Black girls are hoochie mamas. They think that Black girls are loose. I think they may think that Black girls are not who we truly are.
I think that the world thinks that their body is like the main thing that is focused on, especially because that's what's promoted the most. The big booties, the boobs being out, the twerking. I feel like that's what they see us as, the type that want to get down and twerk all the time. Like, we're not smart, we just got a body.
I see that young girls are portrayed as entertainment. We are known for our art and then strength. A lot of people would look at the strength as a positive, but I look at the strength as, young Black girls are not able to be human. They're not able to feel. They're not able to break. They're not able to be vulnerable. And those are the things that stops them from looking and seeing themselves for who they are.
Oftentimes we go unrepresented. We feel invisible. We can feel, when we are represented, we're represented in one or two ways. Either hypersexualized, am I allowed to say that?
Yes, you are.
Or we are like a mamie, like a worker, but never really delve into the complexities of what a Black woman or a Black girl is.
I believe the world believes Black girls do not appreciate or respect themselves. Globally, when you look at how Black women are pictured and respected, particularly in celebrities and models, is done so universally, but not here. So when it comes to African American women, I don't think they see us as respecting ourselves. We are the ones that introduce other products to make ourselves look like someone other than ourselves. And when you see how male and female relationships are portrayed, particularly in the music and often on the screen, they don't see the Black woman as being respected and probably interpret that as us allowing that to happen. And unfortunately, that is true. We do allow it to happen. We co-sign into that. We perpetuate it within our young women. We encourage it by the fact that we don't say anything or we don't protest against it. That we are not the ones that are controlling the hair products. We're not the ones that are controlling the products that we most heavily invest in.
Could it be that what Black girls think about themselves dictates their behavior and what other people think about them? And where should Black girls be getting their standard of beauty from? For most Black girls, their first lesson on beauty comes from a store or wrapped up in a package. When they open that package, they have a decision to make about their identity. Here's a question for you. What do you call it when a Black girl wants to be something different than what she is in her natural state?
Barbieism is the belief that eurocentric features and characteristics should be the standard that all females aspire to. Light skin, light eyes, light hair, straight long hair, keen nose, thin body, small waist, smile on the face, Ken on her arm, and no voice. Dolls teach girls about what is considered acceptable and normal at a very young age. Those beliefs can still be seen in their behavior when they get older.
I did play with Barbies as a kid, and it was kind of, I don't want to say that it didn't motivate me, but it did make me think like, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to look like. You know, like when I was growing up, that was the standard. You know, thin was the standard, long hair was the standard. So playing with a Barbie doll, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to look like. Now, I won't be able to be white for obvious reasons, but maybe I could make my hair blonde and I could wear it long and I could be skinny here and then my legs will pop out here. So I always was trying to find a way to have that physique. The physique of reality TV's origin, the physique of the model days, America's Next Top Model days. I've always been trying to strive for that, and I think that message does come through Barbie dolls and television and all that stuff.
No matter how dark the Black baby was, I got the Black baby. And I always looked at it like, why I got to get the Black baby? Like, I remember having those thoughts as a kid. And now I look back and I'm just like, why was I upset that I got the Black baby?
I believe that Barbie is what the world, not Black America, but the other part of the world would want us to be in order to be accepted by them. When you see a Barbie doll, the hair is blonde or it's straight. There's no kink, no texture, no wave pattern to it, none of that. And whenever you see somebody that is in total opposite of a Barbie, then sometimes people are threatened by it.
Dr. Thompson, through our research, we have found something interesting. Would you answer this question as truthfully as possible, please?
Okay.
Did you allow your daughter to have white dolls growing up? And if not, please explain to us why not.
Okay. So, did I allow my daughter to have white dolls? The answer is no. And I'll tell you why. As a social worker, I started my career as a social worker, master's in social work, and minor in psychology. And one of the things that I learned, which was disheartening, is they did this research years and years ago, and they've done it since then, decades ago actually, where they have little Black girls and they give them a white doll and a Black doll. And I say, which doll is pretty? They pick the white doll. Say, which doll is smart? They pick the white doll. Which doll is probably gonna get in trouble or is not pretty? They pick the black doll, and that just floored me. And I thought, oh my goodness, how did that? Nobody in their home, I'm sure, taught them that. So it had to be commercials or movies or things like that. So I decided that I was not going to allow my daughter to have white dolls. I did pretty well, I thought, in protecting her as far as what she saw with her image being validated. But lo and behold, we went to the store around Christmas time to get her a doll. And it was a certain doll out there, and that was probably about 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. And she wanted the white doll with the blonde hair and the blue eyes. I said, you're not gonna get that one. So I took her over to the brown doll that was gorgeous, black hair, brown eyes. She didn't want that one. So there was another little doll that looked like maybe it could be Hispanic or, you know, it had olive colored skin, still dark hair, dark eyes. So I said, well, this was more to her complexion. She wasn't dark brown, she wasn't fair as the blonde doll, but this was probably closer to what she looked like. So I'm thinking, I can compromise. Let's get this one. She refused. She wanted the blonde hair, blue-eyed doll or nothing at all. Well, she didn't say that. I said, you can get this doll or you're not gonna get a doll. And she didn't want a doll, so we walked out the store that day. I was furious because I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? And my little girl wants this blonde-haired, blue-eyed doll instead of a doll that looks more like her. So we left the store that day without any doll at all. But for Christmas, I did get her a doll. And it was this brown doll with brown yarn hair, and she loved it. I have a picture of her holding it up next to her. But I felt like, and I shared that as an instructor in my last position, and there were some folks in the room that thought that that was not fair, that I shouldn't have done that, and that how would I feel if a white mom wouldn't let her white daughter get black dolls? And so my explanation to that is it's very different. So a little white girl has been validated, her appearance, her looks, everything throughout her life. So she doesn't have this cognitive dissonance happening inside. Because she's always been validated. So it was my responsibility as her mom is to ensure that she valued what she looked like. And when she looked in the mirror, she saw beauty, she saw strength. So even though others didn't agree with that, even in my profession when I shared it, wasn't my problem because I knew what I had to do to build up my little girl so that when she looked in the mirror, she saw strength and she saw beauty. And she didn't only see strength and beauty when she looked at something that was different from her. So yes, I did that, and I have no regrets. The goal was to make sure that my little brown girl understood that she was not second rate in beauty, in hair, in anything, that she was valuable and that she was worth being applauded and celebrated. So I think she turned out okay.
Over the years, doll companies have learned the importance of diversity and representation. It was discovered that the original Barbie was not even anatomically correct, which means if she were a real person, she would have a very difficult time standing, walking, and holding up her head.
You know, people always want to make a big deal about why does the doll for the little black girls have to be black or brown dolls? I'm like, because they are black and brown little girls, and that's what they need to see. They need to see a doll with natural hair, with an afro, with locks, whatever the case is. That doll's skin needs to be black and brown and all the different shades that we come in, because then they will look at my pretty doll. My pretty doll looks like me, so therefore I must be pretty. We don't even have to tell them that. They'll get the message.
When I was a little girl, we had like the Pert Plus commercials where the women would swing their hair and the wind would blow, and that is what I had to see. And I had to wonder, well, why isn't my hair reflecting light like that? Why is it when I walk out into the wind, my hair doesn't, you know? And so now what we have is, we have now us falling in line and creating now these images that look startlingly similar. And we have, I don't know if you've ever heard of blackfishing. Blackfishing is where you have Caucasian people, European people, who are bronzing their skin, putting on some curly hair or teasing their hair back, or braiding their hair and doing a braid out and actually pretending to be Black. And the saddest part about it is that because they have the European, the European nose and the little lips and those types of things, right? They are falling in line with a standard of beauty that we have then imposed on ourselves, so that we have Black beauty through a European lens.
So it makes other people feel a whole lot better if you start to look more like the Barbie. It makes them feel comfortable, it makes them feel relaxed. The moment that hair gets kinky, or you allow it to have that beautiful natural wave pattern that God designed you to have, all of a sudden people are threatened. So if you don't have that and you're looking more like Barbie, then that makes them feel better, because that teaches them that you are willing to do whatever it takes to be in their space to make them more accepting of you.
Now, Barbie tries to be diversified after 50 plus years. There's nothing wrong with white beauty. But the problem is when you say that white beauty is the only beauty and that there's something wrong with Black beauty or Asian beauty or Latino beauty or anything in between, because this white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, idyllic, pretty person is not the only beautiful there is. If you try and say that Black is beautiful, you're somehow attacking white beauty or attacking this beauty or that beauty. No, Black is beautiful because Black is beautiful. It does not have to take anybody else down in order to do it. And it makes you also question, why does white beauty have to do that?
I think it makes them be non-true to themselves. So you always have to change yourself to fit in somebody else's box. So you never truly get to express who you are. Thin lips, thin nose, European features, when that's not what the majority of the world looks like. So it can kind of make you feel like you don't belong. I want to use the word ugly, but kind of makes you feel like you're out of place.
I was adopted by Puerto Ricans, and they're all light-skinned. And I was the darkest person, one of the darkest people in my family. And I'm personally mixed race. Like, I've got Filipino, I've got white, Dominican, Black blood. But what they could see was chinita, negrita. I'm Asian, I'm Black. And, so my mom always addressed like, ella Filipina, always talking about my nose and my eyes and stuff, and like shutting it to the side. But one thing that they always addressed was the fact that I have Black blood. That makes me different. And so, oh, we have to take her to a special hair salon. It was always that subtle thing that was always there, that you're different. We won't talk about it, but you're different. And I knew it was because I have that different blood. I'm different. I'm a different color.
Women are starting to pick and pull and put themselves together like Polly Pockets. I want this kind of hair today. I want this kind of butt today. I want this kind of physique today. You know what? I don't even want to be that kind of woman. I'm just gonna scratch it and change the whole thing and be a whole different woman, and you can't tell me anything about who I once was. And maybe that is a thing. Maybe that is true. Maybe you can reinvent yourself, but it seems like we're not reinventing our morals. We're not reinventing our values. We're not reinventing what we want for our lives or the legacy we want to leave. You're just constantly reinventing the physical. And a lot of people can't do much with that anyways. If we say that we want to one day be with one person and one person only, then why is it that we spend so much time trying to attract everyone to us?
There's one type of beauty. And it's actually long hair, right? And so long hair, thin waist, whether you have a big, thick thighs or small thighs, the thin waist is where, people tend to like drive that message in. And, you know, I think a lot of times Black women feel like they have to overcompensate for the things that they lack. And so if your hair doesn't grow as long as you want it, like, it's not beautiful unless it's long, whether it's a weave, whether it's your natural texture, whether it's locks, we tend to get caught up in that. And I think is that our hair is so tightly coiled and it has so much character and texture, and so does our beauty. And when it's stretched, it looks different. And so when we're forced the idea that we need to look like Pocahontas, it almost says to you, you are not beautiful as you are.
Personally, I used to think that hair defines you, but it does not. I cut all my hair off, butt cut and everything, and now I feel like amazing. I don't know her name exactly, but off of Black Panther, and she was like the lead role, and she had her head shaved, and she just bodied. I'm sorry, she is perfect.
I think whenever you don't own the narrative, then you're basically dictated to. And so the standard of beauty, or what beauty is something that we've been given in this culture. We've been told in this culture, and so therefore we had a visual that's been given to us that we've had to adhere to, and for the most part, and even accept and begin to agree with.
From almost the moment they are born, there is this standard of beauty that surrounds them. And it's not necessarily everything they're told, even though it's what they're told, but it's what they see on television, what they read in magazines, what they see around them, what they hear people talk about. And it is a standard of beauty that in many ways does not even apply to them. And so I think that is such a challenge that we have to overcome. You know, what is this standard of beauty? Because it's not just one standard. So we have to get away from that. That's the challenge.
Scripture mentions that God created human beings and then called us good, and that He carefully designed us in our mother's wombs. It says we were wonderfully made. That is an absolute truth. You were made beautiful. Could it be that life makes you forget your God-given intrinsic value? If so, take a moment to remember.
Well, you know, I was once a Black girl. So I remember being young, I was maybe about 5 years old, and trying to find out from my mother, why don't I have white skin? Why isn't my hair long and straight? And I don't know where I got that from, because I'm from the Bronx and I'm in a community that's majority people of color, but there was a hierarchy in school. And the hierarchy started with the Latina girls who were closest to white, and then went down in terms of who was the whitest, the blondest, who had lighter color eyes. And then it went to, okay, well, who's more tan but has the straight hair, or has the straight hair with the eyes, or whatever was closest aligned to the European standard of beauty. And then on the opposite end of that, you know, you had the Black with the short hair and the braids and the, you know, the little beady beads, or whatever you call the little hairs that would curl up on the end, and the kitchen and all of that other stuff. And then among the Black girls, then there was the hierarchy there with who was the lightest of the Black girls and who had the longest hair. And then if you were quote unquote unfortunate enough to have the dark skin, the Negroid features, and the short hair, and then be overweight too, it was no, in people's eyes, no salvaging.
Well, the world sees beauty, from my perspective, as the kids say, they do too much. They're doing the most. You have to have straight, long hair, right? It has to be blonde, or you have to be a brunette, or, you know, you have to have a skinny nose. You have to have small lips. You can't have any type of nothing on your face. Your face has to be clean and glowing and shining all the time. And in our culture, in the Black culture, you might find a thick chocolate woman. You might find a little brown skin thing. You may find a dark Hershey's chocolate. You could find an array of things. The world can make you feel like you're not enough if you continue to look at it from their perspective.
There's a saying, beauty is only skin deep. Ugly is to the bone. And so whatever it is that we think is beautiful, it must be defined far beyond the outer appearance. For example, in the Bible, for those who read the Bible and agree with the Bible, there was a woman, Queen Esther. And she was naturally, in her time period, considered physically to be beautiful, I guess. But she had an opportunity to get an audience before the king. And so all the women, when they were going to get this audience, they took them into the closets of the kingdom with all these beautiful garments and jewelry and makeup, and they could put on whatever they wanted to put on. And then they could carry away as much as they could physically carry with them. And for some of those who were not selected to stay in the household of the king as a favorite, that would be their only opportunity. So many of them just grabbed as many clothes and jewels as they could. Queen Esther, with wisdom, approached the eunuch who was over the wardrobe and said, "So what should I wear? What do you think?" So they dressed her down, not up. And because she didn't have all the finery and all the hairdos and all of that, she stood out, and the king selected her. It was amazing. Now, we know God was guiding that because the people had to be liberated. But she had the wisdom to seek counsel and to know that it wasn't going to be in her makeup or the jewels or the dresses. It was going to have to take more.
Black girl beauty is so diverse. Even within the group, there are various hair textures, shades, shapes, and sizes, all of which should be celebrated. Here's a question for you. What kind of black girl do you see most celebrated in your family or your community?
One thing I wish is that the people that are big women or the ones they push in the media, that they don't have those cliche attributes that people like the big breasts, I don't have big boobs. I want to see a big girl in the media that does not have big boobs, that has a bigger stomach, that's not like the boxed in proportions. That's what I wish we would see. But I will say that it's been a lot more of a push for people that are bigger to be in the media. For example, I love Lizzo. Like, that's my girl. I love seeing her. She's not apologetic. And I also like the fact that we're seeing people like that now. Like, the younger generation can see that and be like, okay, it's okay to be a big girl. Whereas when I was coming up, it was not cool. No matter how athletic I was, no matter how many good grades I had, how many beauty pageants I was in, it was like, oh, you a big girl, I can't date you, or this and that. But they'll be talking to me after school, but during school, they like, So, yeah.
And I used to get picked on a lot because obviously I'm a plus size girl. I'm pretty big. And that to some people's a bad thing, apparently. I don't know why. I mean, we're the best pillows out there, but hey, whatever. And that used to really hurt me. So my view on self-worth and self-beauty was really, really low. I had really low self-esteem. There were times, which I'm sad to admit, I felt like I felt like I wasn't worthy. I am myself, and you can either accept me for who I am, or you can kick rocks.
With no socks.
With no socks, yeah. I hope you step on that gravel too.
Hopefully.
Oh my gosh. I think what's most beautiful about Black girls is our diversity. I know people, Black girl magic is like a big quote, but I really believe like we are some magical people. Our girls are magical. We are able to transform physically if we want. One day we can do our hair a certain way and be completely different. The way we dress, we can kind of go back and forth if we want to dress authentically, if we want to dress in another. We are just so diverse in how we look and how we can present.
We have two extremes and in the middle. We have the extreme of being very African-centered and wanting to look and being very proud of our natural selves. And then we have the extreme of wanting to have hair that we could never naturally grow, and eyelashes that we could never naturally grow, and clothes that don't fit us or accentuate our true beauty. And then you have the young women that are in the middle trying to decide, can I be bold enough to be my natural self and still attract the things and get to where I want to go, primarily a partner? Or should I just go with whatever that norm is that's around?
It's something about your perspective. When you shift your perspective, you shift your life. And you become who he's created you to be, and you're cool with that. Because one thing the Father has told me, and I'm going to share this message everywhere that I go. When you complain about who you are, in essence, you're telling God that he didn't do a good job, and he don't make no mistakes, honey. He don't make no mistakes.
So being your own kind of pretty for me means that no one else can be you. Your beauty in terms of the world can be defined so many ways, and that you have to define for yourself what that beauty is and what does it mean to be beautiful. And so one of the things I just said, like I am the most beautiful person that I know. So I wake up and I identify with my struggles, my pain, my beauty, my flaws, my grace, my strengths, and I'm able to express that in the world. And no one else can have that. No one else can have my skin. No one else can have my smile, my personality, my tact, and even my flaws. No one else can own that. So I can only be 100% me. And guess what? When I'm standing in my beauty and I'm standing in my power, then I can acknowledge yours. I am not jealous of yours. I'm not envious of yours. I don't want yours because I don't know how to own yours.
If beauty is in the eye of the beholder, the question is who is beholding Black girls? Who is really acknowledging their beauty, both inside and out? And who is proclaiming the true narrative? What if there is something in the eye of the beholder, such as the obstacle of racism, or if the beholder has poor sight due to colorism or even sexism? Then beauty is not always seen so clearly, and the eye of popular media doesn't have the clarity to behold all forms of beauty, definitely not the internal.
I think the moment that I felt the most beautiful was when I realized that I was. When I realized that I was beautiful no matter what the flaws that anybody may see, when I realized that I didn't have to fit into any mold, I didn't have to be a certain size, I didn't have to look a certain way, that's when I felt the most beautiful, when I could just define me for me and not by anybody else's standards.
I have to say that one day I was working for a hospital, a very popular hospital, and I was working at their rehab center, and I went to do some exercise in the physical therapy room. And in this physical therapy room, they have mirrors all around, and there were Caucasians all around, and I was the only Black person in there. And all of a sudden, I looked up and I saw all this beautiful dark brown skin standing out. And I said, is that me? I never embraced my pigmentation until that day. And I was in my early 30s. And I looked, and like God said, what he created was good. I said, oh, this is good. This is good, yes. So that was when I really did embrace my own beauty and realize what you see, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. When I was a little girl, I have to share this. I was probably in the 3rd grade, and it was picture day, and I was so tender-headed. I mean, I had this thick hair, and I was really tender-headed, and my mama had washed my hair that night, and you already know what happens to hair that is shampooed and not twisted or plaited. So the next morning I got up, and my mama was like, just go to school. So I go to school and get my picture taken, and I'm embarrassed because my hair wasn't right. Then the pictures came back weeks later. And this was when my low self-esteem started. The teacher took my picture, and it was a white teacher, and she said, tell your mom if she doesn't want to buy these pictures, she doesn't have to, because my hair looked a mess. So she took my picture and she turned the back to the little window. Remember, it had the little window and you could see the face? She turned the back so that nobody could see that picture. And so I told my grandmother about it. And my grandma, that one that I said was so beautiful, my dad's mom, purchased those pictures. She's like, nobody's gonna tell my grandbaby that she's not cute, even though I didn't feel cute at all. But my grandma did something for me that day, and I've never forgotten it to this day. She purchased those pictures to let that teacher know, no, we want to buy them. And yes, you may not think she's beautiful, but I think she's beautiful.
Okay, so I model, so it's a few moments, but the top tier of like all of them was actually, and it wasn't even that big of a deal, but I was at practice and it was for this new fashion show that we were about to do. And this was my first day coming. I missed the first week that they had, and they kind of like put me on blast, and I had to walk in front of everybody. But like, I felt like in the moment, like that was my time. I missed the previous practice, so we were assigned groups, but I wasn't assigned a group yet. So I had to walk in front of everybody to, you know, determine where I was going to be at. And it was kind of odd at first, but then I just let my inner self go and let me do me, and it was fun.
At a moment that was probably one of my lowest points physically, and it was shortly after a cancer surgery. And looking at myself, and I was shocked, but then all of a sudden I felt like, oh, I came through a major surgery and I'm still alive and I am still going forward. I think that's when it hit me like, okay, all that other stuff that I thought made you pretty or beautiful or attractive and all that, none of that matters. Here's what's beautiful, that I have been through a challenge and I can see my way through it, and just what I felt inside.
I did not think I was pretty when I was a little girl, and I hated my widow's peak. That came out of Ireland. The broad nose and the beautiful features out of Africa, and the high cheekbones out of Native Americans. So I'm sitting there trying to identify with part of it. I would shave off the widow's peak. I didn't want it, I hated it. One day, I was older, probably a teenager. I looked in the mirror again, and I realized I didn't have to hide my widow's peak. It was part of me. And so I had to accept that I couldn't look like my mother or my grandmother or my aunt. I had to be me. I was also chubby, and I became anorexic because I wanted to be skinny. It looked like whatever beautiful was supposed to look like during those days. And then one day, somebody says, well, Marilyn Monroe wears a size 16. I said, really? Okay. And so when I would wear a 12, I felt good. When I wore a 14, I felt good. When I wore a 16, I felt good. The only reason I was never happy in my size 22 dress, because I got that big, over 300 pounds, was because I didn't feel good. It was not healthy. It had nothing to do with the way I looked, but it was affecting my health. So I began to work on my weight a little more, and I still do. I'm 17 years old now, and I do work on my weight, but not because how I look. I've got more wrinkles, okay, and I'll do this and try to pull them up and push them up and all of that. Put on a little lipstick and put on some feathery earrings, and I'm happy to be me.
Well, a few years ago, I had a natural skincare company, and we would do these expos to sell the product and meet the base live. So people would come out to these yearly expos to be able to get the product, to meet me, etc. And I had this huge poster in the air. It was a nude poster because the skincare products that I sold made your skin flawless. So it was this huge 4 foot by 6 foot nude poster hoisted up in the air. And so it was me laying on my stomach, holding up like a coconut, and skin flawless, melanin popping, booty in the air. Well, not in the air, but I was laying down. Booty was showing, of course, right? And there were, and women and girls and people would come up to the booth and they would be like, oh my goodness, is that you, right? And in my unabashed nudity and in my flawless skin beauty at these expos, I would just feel magnanimous. I would just feel just large and just powerful and beautiful, because there was a beauty in removing all of the accoutrements that we think make us beautiful, taking away all of the things that we use to hide and cover. And, and different people feel different ways about nudity. Not everybody is comfortable with nudity. And some people don't want their children to be near nudity. And so there were some people who didn't like the banner, but it was a 4 foot by 6 foot banner hoisted 22 feet into the air. And so the people who did come to the booth were people who also were comfortable with nudity and thought, thought skin is beautiful and thought the beauty of natural skin. And even if you have like a little showing of a stretch mark here or there, or rolls, I think that was the thing that people loved most about the poster, is that there were rolls in it. It was an unairbrushed photo. And with this poster, I was able to assist women in going on their skincare journey to get naturally beautiful, glowing, plump, vibrant, unapologetically just melanin popping, beautiful, smooth, supple skin. And those were the times that I really felt really, really, really beautiful.
When I was in graduate school and I was asked to recite or to interpret a poem by a very prominent Black literaturist, and it took me off guard, but I felt as if I had been affirmed, because it was a large class and I was selected to do this very, very, very special thing. And it brought together all those things that had been going around in my mind about, why do I have to always be so blackly black? Sometimes you just walk around wondering, why is my view, why do I always look through everything through that lens? And having that affirmation of that lens being okay, because that is who you are. And people of other cultures don't have to ask that question or justify that. That made me feel really good.
I think the time I felt the most beautiful was when I got big corrected my junior year of high school. And it was a big, big step for me, because I had been suffering for a while in middle school. And I had finally made the choice to get help and reach out for help. And to me, that not only enhanced my beauty and my self-worth, but it took who I was as a person to a whole new level. The girl you see here smiling and laughing and playing with everybody now, that wasn't the girl who I was in middle school or my freshman year. And I think that in itself enhanced everything about me, including the most beautiful parts of me.
According to research, beauty has various definitions, but there are a few that speak to the internal value of beauty, which is not as celebrated in popular culture. These definitions speak to an internal beauty that is connected to pleasure, excellence, satisfaction, and enjoyment. Could it be that the pursuit of beauty is a pursuit for something beyond the external, something that speaks to the soul and spirit of a girl?
The diversity. There is so much diversity with the pigment, the hair, the wave pattern, the length, the personality, of the Black woman, the Black young girl that's coming in to your environment. And there's nothing more beautiful than a confident Black woman.
I love our smiles. So I will do anything to give a Black girl a compliment, especially if I see it's something that they're struggling with. For example, when I came here today, I was in the parking lot and I saw a young lady look like she was walking to the bus stop. Her hair was big like mine, blowing all over the place because it's windy. But I love her hair. Like when I was looking at her, so I rolled my window down. I was like, you better, sis, you better go. And then I saw a smile come across her face. And I'm like, this is what I love, seeing our smiles, because I don't feel like we get a chance to have a genuine smile like that often. We might smile to make other people feel comfortable, and it's a different type of smile when you're smiling because somebody's giving you a compliment.
To be honest, I think the most beautiful thing about Black women is our hair. The idea that I could transform myself into every kind of woman you've ever seen is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The fact that a Black woman can say, you know, today I want to go straight. I want to go voluptuous. I want to go curls. I want to go braids. I want to go afro and still look like 12 different women is honestly like, it's astounding, because I don't think there's any other woman walking this earth like it.
I think the resilience, the strength, the power, the ability to come out of so many things and still thrive. You know, there's a beauty in that. There's a strength in that. There's a power. There's a glory in that, of having to go through what others don't have to go through and yet surmount and become even greater than anybody, you know, imagined that you could be.
I love the inner beauty of Black people. There's an inner beauty that comes from, like, it's like it's coming from the earth. Man, that's, for me, the inner beauty. That's the inner beauty. And my mom was a big example of that.
And it's the aura, you know what I'm saying? The aura, the attitude, and I don't mean attitude like, you know, why you all up in my face type of attitude, okay? You know, it's the more or less like, you know, look, I gotta make something happen. I gotta do what it do. I gotta get on the ball. You know what I'm saying? And it's the way, it's a different type of swagger.
Not just on the outside. See, most people look on the outside, but I'm talking about the soul. I'm talking about their identity, their purpose. That's what makes them so beautiful.
Well, first I'd have to state that this person sitting here would not be here without Estella Beale Johnson, my maternal grandmother, my mother, Henrietta Jackson, and these would be my roles and icons of women.
I have a granddaughter who turns 4 in December, and she's like she's my boss lady. That's what I call her, my boss, my little boss lady. And she is the sweetest thing. I mean, I have 2 great gifts, and she's just wonderful. She just makes me feel young, fresh. And so, you know, it was great to be a part of this because of that, especially for her.
Their resilience. I think Black girls can be very, very resilient. I think particularly in this day and age, they're breaking out of some of the myths.
There's an energy, there's a power, and there is I don't know how to quite describe it, but there is a rhythm to Black girls. There's a rhythm to Blackness in general, but in that uncultivated, just bright and buoyant, just the bigness of being a girl. You know, you come with the empathy and the intuition that women are bestowed with, and you couple that with the energy that exists with being a descendant of the original people. There's a beauty to being a ray of the light of the origin. There was an author that said the mighty oak lives in the seed, right? And it's like inside of every Black girl is a powerful Black woman. And it is that, in that essence of youth and that unapologeticness of being young and that brightness and that vibrancy. There's just a beauty about Black girls.
I feel that Black girls are very honest, strong, beautiful, hardworking.
There's something about a confident little Black girl. You know, I don't mind when she says, I'm pretty. And sometimes people are like, oh, that's, what a boastful little girl. No, she's not boastful. She's just confident. Somebody along the way has told her, you're smart, you're pretty. I like everything about you. I like your clothes. I like your shoes, everything. So that to me is the most beautiful thing, is when you see a confident little Black girl who knows that she is going to change the world, that she is in charge.
I think Black girls have an energy and an inner confidence that just exudes from them. I watch my grandbabies, 7 and 5, and there's a confidence and an energy and an acceptance of themselves that is just energizing. And I often wonder what happens along the way to kind of snuff that out. But starting out full of confidence, self-love, believe they can do anything. And I think that energy and that confidence that exudes from within the little Black girl is amazing. And I think it's something that God put in us, that somehow in our culture, it kind of gets snuffed out as we get older. And I'm trying to figure out a way how to keep it in and keep it protected so that they don't lose that.
Those beautiful moments when we enjoy the excellence of ourselves and others keep us enthusiastic about life. For Black girls specifically, they need this inner realization to fortify them as they deal with the subtle and overt messages of racism and sexism in American society. They need to remember their beauty even when others, due to poor eyesight, can't recognize it on them, or can only recognize the beauty when it is culturally appropriated and expressed by another race. This is why it is important to emphasize Black girls when discussing beauty, because they are one of the groups in society that are often overlooked and undervalued. Self-celebration is a must under these circumstances.
You celebrate your beauty by, one, I do affirmations. I do affirmations every day. In Christendom, we call them confessions. In the world, we call them affirmations. Listen, honey, whatever you want to call them, get you some words together. Get you a couple phrases that speak to your soul, that speak to the very essence of who you are, and begin to say them every day. These are some of the affirmations that I say about myself. I am beautiful inside and out. I am a child, a daughter, a queen of God. I am spectacular. Everything that I touch turns to gold. I am powerful. I am influential. I am impactful. I am excellent because God made me and He did not make a no jump. I am my Father's daughter. That means that I can do anything that I put my mind to as long as I keep Him first. I can, I will, I must change the world. Why? Not for you, not for me, but because of His glory. And when He is glorified, everything else is magnified, and you will be lifted, motivated, encouraged, and you will walk this earth and do what God has called you to do, because I am Jacina.
Taking off their makeup and showing their natural beauty. I think that is a beautiful way to celebrate beauty.
Just by showing it off and being like unapologetic about it, because it's a lot of people that are obviously not Black and they're gonna try and tell you what you can and can't do. But once you own who you are and you just let it show, then it's like nothing that anybody else says matters.
I'd say just be unapologetic, unabashed, and just be unafraid to be seen.
Now, we all love it when our beauty is seen and appreciated, but we don't all agree on what parts of ourselves should be seen and what should be private, especially when it comes to sexuality and sex appeal. I know you're thinking that girls don't have to worry about this. The truth is, the media pushes sex and uses women to do it. Girls watch women, every move they make, and they look up to them and they model after their behavior. How does this affect the girls looking to the women for guidance. How much is too much, and where is the balance?
Black girls have a God-given external and internal beauty that can only be perceived by those who are anti-racist, world-cultured, and enlightened. The only way the masses will be able to behold the true beauty of Black girls is if Black girls create an independent standard of beauty, represent themselves authentically and unapologetically while controlling the narrative about their value.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Old heads know that song, right? I'm sure the young girls don't. Sexuality is very normal and it should be expressed in healthy, age-appropriate ways. The act of sex should only be experienced at the appropriate age. And in my opinion, sex is not for minors. I know there are teenagers having sex. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's an act for adults, but it doesn't mean that young people won't have urges and feelings that they need to discuss with a responsible adult so that they can work through what they feel, because there's nothing wrong with what you feel. But that's for another conversation. The term sexuality describes both the act of sex and the feeling. Girls have sexual feelings at various ages. It's completely normal. It's not about what you feel, but what's most important is what you do. This is why teaching girls self-control is very important. They need to learn to control their urges and not always do what they feel. My concern is that Black girl beauty is not celebrated in popular culture, but their sexuality is exploited. Many people confuse sexual exploitation with female empowerment. To me, that is the biggest pimp lie that the media has fed these girls, and so many girls and women believe it. But this is a massive topic, and people have various opinions about sexuality as a power and an asset of beauty. It's not so simple.
And yes, there is a power to female sexuality, and it's not dirty, and it does not deserve to be lambasted. There's a beauty to sexuality, yet there is a power in it. There is. It's not our only power. It is not our main power. It is not our only respected power, but it is a power. And just like any other thing, I feel that we need balance. And I feel that we don't have balance because we are constantly lambasting the sexuality of especially Black girls, so that we don't have access to the full scope of emotion. We don't have access to the full scope of sexuality and sexiness. I don't think that there is any set standard age appropriateness. I feel that people come into their sexuality at different ages, and I feel that it's our duty as women who have also gone through that to not try to douse it and not try to make it seem like it's not a natural part of the evolving of femininity, the evolving of us from girls into women.
So there needs to be some conversations about the audience, and I think that people forget that they're not looking. This is not an audience or presentations for little girls, young girls, right? So that's a whole nother thing. But if you look at some of these TV shows where, we don't have to name the names, but you look at TV shows and this is what they see, that a successful woman is married to somebody with a lot of money, has big implants and wear tight dresses, and they're fighting and they're catty. And so I think there is an internal conversation that needs to happen within us about what it means to be a Black woman.
There's some people who like to shame girls for having sexual feelings, and they want them to repress their feelings, which could actually be very unhealthy, and make them feel uncomfortable even talking about such a natural thing, out of fear that they'll lose control. Then when the pendulum swings, on the other side, you have people who believe that girls should express their sexuality freely.
Just like in the epic film Cuties, girls can get caught between two sexual extremes, hypersexuality and sexual repression.
I want to encourage parents to have these conversations. Girls need to know the truth. It's better for them to learn it from a responsible adult than from their knucklehead friends. Knowledge is their greatest power, not sexuality. And knowledge will help them to make wise decisions instead of succumbing to their urges and feelings all the time. If you have healthy conversations with girls about sexuality, they won't succumb to the lies of the media. First of all, there's a difference between a girl and a woman. Girls are not ready for the physical and emotional responsibilities that come along with having sex. Women can handle more. But girls listen to music about sex made by women, and they believe that this form of entertainment is a representation of the truth, and we know it's not. There's a famous rapper right now, a female rapper, who I'm actually a fan of because her delivery is amazing. But a lot of times she raps about her sexual power and how it gives her an advantage over men. But in real life, the man in her life shot her. She was dealing with a man who did not respect her at all. Now, I hate that that happened to her. I hate that she was hurt. But the point is, there's fantasy and there's reality. You do not get respect by having sex, girls. Do not believe that lie. People respect you because of what's up here, not down here. Now, this same artist went on a show one time after she got shot, protesting how we all need to protect Black women. I was so proud when I saw her standing with her fist in the air because I felt like she was making a turn. Right after she made the statement about how Black women need to be protected, the beat dropped and she immediately began twerking. I'm talking about butt in the air, talking about how she's wild, acting like a stripper. Now, some would say she has a right to express her sexuality in that way as an adult, and she does. She has the right as a citizen. But when it comes to respect, you cannot demand that people respect you when you act in a way that they don't deem respectful. Many women were confused by this. It seems like she was saying one thing and then doing another. And what was really interesting about it is that she didn't see a conflict at all. Now, what do we call that?
Cognitive is referring to what you think, your beliefs, your values, your attitudes, and dissonance is that it's conflicting. So cognitive dissonance means that you have thoughts and beliefs in your mind that conflict with one another. So you're talking about the empowerment of Black girls and the empowerment of women, and then you turn around with your, can I say booty shorts on? Then you turn around with your booty shorts on and start twerking, and those things are in conflict. So what normally happens when you have two thoughts in your minds, two opinions, two values that conflict, you try to figure out how to make it harmonious. So there's a principle of cognitive consistency where you want your beliefs and your actions to go together, to be harmonious. And so I think maybe what's happening with that artist is that she's trying to figure out, if I believe this about the empowerment of Black girls, but I also believe this about my career and what I need to do to make my money, then those are conflicting thoughts. So they start adding information or rationalizing or just dismissing it. Well, I can do this, this is my job. It has really nothing to do with the empowerment of Black women. So it's a way to ease that. As humans, we want harmony on the inside. And when we have that conflict, we find any way to try to make it go away. And that's the way she can kind of ease the conflict, but everybody else still sees the conflict.
Your behaviors and the things that you do in front of people affect how they see you, and you cannot control how they perceive you after you do what you do. So you have a decision to make. How important is it to express yourself freely and sexually and wear all the revealing clothes that you want to wear if it's going to cost you respect with your peers and with the public? Is respect important to you? If it's not, have at it. But if it is, you're going to have to adjust the way you view sexuality. We have to teach girls wisdom so that they can have the experiences that they want to have in life, so they can get where they want to go. A lot of women and a lot of girls think, and they're being taught by the media, that to get where they want to go, they have to use their sexuality because it's their only power. The media is basically saying, if you want a great life, little Black girl, you better be as sexy as you can and make sure to let us watch. But I'm saying, if you want a great life, little Black girl, you better be smart now. You have so many other powers that are greater than what's between your legs. There's nothing wrong with what's between your legs. it just does not deserve all of your attention and energy at this point in your life. You have plenty of time as an adult to worry about sexuality. Right now, get in the books, get your education, so that you can have the life that you really want. Because intelligence is real power, and intelligence is so beautiful.
Just to tell you a little bit about my past, I don't know, a lot of people don't know that I used to be a dancer for Chippendales. And so there was a time when I used my body and my looks like that. And so I understand its wrongness. So I'm not pointing at somebody. I'm saying this is not what God intended. And so you're responsible. And beauty or power comes in different shapes and forms. So whatever that power is, it's a responsibility. And it should be used properly and rightly to lead people in the right way. Right now, for me, I had used my body so wrong in that way that even now, I can't just dance. It's almost as if sometimes I want just to worship God, and I find my body going in the wrong direction because that's how I used it all of my life.
I'm just thinking that we need to have a dialogue about it, and we don't. And so it allows them to think they're doing something positive when it's really a negative reaction, right? So they're thinking that by dressing this way, acting this way, saying these things, that they're really elevating us, when in essence, everyone outside looking in is just feeding into the stereotypes that they already have about us.
Those stereotypes that we have to fight, it's still this case of in the room, when you speak up, when you look like us, then it's like, uh-oh, she's mad. She's an angry Black woman. She's being aggressive. But maybe when a white woman speaks up and says the very same thing that we have said in the very same setting about the very same thing, it's like, oh, she's very self-assured and confident. Well, you know what? Here's a newsflash for you. So are we. And we have to continue to use our voices and not let those perceptions hold us back. And I think that's a problem because sometimes in our circles or in our circumstances, we will think, oh, I can't speak up because then I will be perceived as the angry Black woman. No, you have a voice, use it.
My name is Denise Lewis. I'm the CEO of JV's Foundation that provides services for victims of human trafficking and delinquent youth in the community. It's very important for girls to understand their beauty from afar, from within, at the very, very moment. Because with everything that we do with human trafficking or being caught up into street or sexual prostitution, a lot of times if a girl feels that they're not beautiful, or if anyone can come along and make them feel just by their words, they could be the most beautiful person on this earth, but feel something different because either they may have not seen it or they have been looking at something else or comparing themselves to something else that we have been giving through media or television, which when we find who we are, we can identify our own beauties. And with our girls that we serve, getting them to understand that they are beautiful no matter what.
Celebrating your beauty is being unabashed about it and not, for far too many of us, we think that we need to be a thing or look a certain way before we can be shown, and what does it say about us if we feel that the way that we came into this world is not good enough to be shown as is? And so I'd say the best way to celebrate your beauty is to be unapologetic in how it is that you look and show up. And of course, brush down the edges, of course, if that is what you so choose. Polish up a little bit if that is what you choose, but knowing that even unbrushed, even unpolished, that there is a there's an infinite beauty that exists in your existence.
A Black girl's existence, it matters most. Suicide amongst Black high school girls is a mental health problem hiding in plain sight. Black girls have more suicide attempts than white girls, says a recent survey. According to CDC's 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 15% of all Black teenage girls attempted suicide. Black youth are 2 times more likely to die by suicide attempt compared to their white counterparts. Black girls' lives are precious, and it's so unfortunate that so many of our Black girls struggle with thoughts of suicide every day. I have a question for you. If there was a Black girl you saw standing on a ledge in the rain, and she was about to jump, there was nobody else around to stop her but you, what would you say to get her to step back in off the ledge and give life another chance?
First of all, I would come a little closer and I would say, my beautiful sister, it's not over. Your story is not over.
I would say me too. Whatever the reason is you're about to jump off, I felt it. Whatever the circumstance was that led you there, I've probably experienced it, witnessed it, been a part of it. Me too. And if you jump, that's me jumping. That's all of us jumping. Me too. We've all been there. The thing about being a Black woman, only Black women know what it's like to be a Black woman. So there's not a Black woman under the sun who in some way, shape, or form can't relate to you. And if you jump, you're giving up on all Black women. We're all standing together. We're all trying to hold it together. We're all trying to keep each other lifted. If you jump, that's just like saying all of that strength that we've had to have was for nothing.
I would tell this young lady that is standing on the ledge that whatever is troubling her, whatever makes her feel like she's not worthy of being here or that she cannot get through it, that I can promise her that everything that she thought is a lie. And I can show her and prove to her that she is beautiful, she is worth above and beyond everything that her mind is telling her, that we can show her that she has more to offer, not just to herself, but to the world if she give herself another chance.
Do you know that there are people whose lives are going to be devastated if you take that step? You have to understand that we don't know and you won't know what will happen if you take that step.
Don't you allow what has happened in your life that led you up to this point to dictate to you what your tomorrow is going to be. Whatever has happened before does not have to stop you from being all that you are going to be. Every mistake, every problem, every disappointment has all happened to help you to be the best person that you are going to be tomorrow. What you see today is not the end of it. Hold on and be encouraged because it's not over for you.
I'll say, look, baby, all I want you to do is just take my hand. I'm not asking you to do anything else. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm not asking you to believe anything. All I want you to do at this point is just take my hand. Because I feel like if you can only just take my hand and just touch me, the spirit that radiates from me will be instilled in you. And if you touch my hand, if you hold my hand, you'll feel life. And once you feel life and know what role you play in life, and that's simply that you're alive. and that God created you for a purpose. So all you need to do is take my hand.
You are here for a purpose. You have a gift that the world needs. And until you give us that gift, you are not allowed to go anywhere, because I'm depending on you to give me what you got. And I'm here to help you to get it out.
I would say to you, the very first thing that my grandmother always told me is that when God made you, he didn't make no junk, right? So life is full of experiences. Some experiences are good and some are not so good, but all of our experiences are what help us be the best version of ourselves we can be. If you give up now in the middle of your experience, you will never know what success you could be. So I would encourage you to take the experience, learn the lesson, and figure out how you can use that to be the best version of yourself you can be. It always gets better. These are only fleeting moments. Only fleeting moments. Everything it seems right now so forever and final, but it's not. Tomorrow will be a new day, and on the other side of the new day, you will survive. And then you can ask yourself, how do I use that experience to be the best version of myself that I can be?
I honestly don't know if I have any words. I'm more of a feeler. I think my first reaction would be to just grab her and hold her and not say anything, because I think so often we're so used to people talking to us and not feeling us. And I think a person that's on a ledge like that needs to be felt. So that's where I would start. And my hands are sweating just thinking about that, because I feel like we know so many people who've been on that ledge, if not ourselves, and we just need to be held.
I want to hear your story. And I know you think you might not have a story, but you do. There is something about you that is special, so I am here to help you recognize what it is. And if you end it all today, there is someone out there who is going to be heartbroken that you are no longer here. And there's going to be a future generation of people whose lives will be impacted because you are no longer here. So whatever it is that brought you to this point, I want to hear that, and I want to help you fix it.
I would tell her that you're loved. I'm about to cry.
We want them to feel your heart in this question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And why does it touch you like that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess because like suicide is a big thing for like my generation, so that's probably why. I would tell you that you're loved, and nobody else can do you better than you can do you. And obviously, I would be the only person there. So if you need a friend, I would be that friend for you. And I would take you under my wing and treat you as if you were one of my own, or like one of my family members, because nobody should ever want to take their own life. It's not worth it.
You have a purpose, and there are things that God needs for you to do in the earth that nobody can do. I'm talking about nobody. See, nobody can do it like you can. Nobody has the grace that you have. No one has the speech that you have. They don't have what you have. And there are people out there that he has assigned to you. There are people that only you can get through. And if you make this choice, what will happen to them? See, you might not feel like a light, but you are. You may not feel like somebody else's hope, my God, but you are. You may not feel like you're enough, but you are. You may not feel like you're seen, but you are. You may not feel like you're valued. You may feel unappreciated, but I want you to, you are. You matter. You matter. And no matter what the world throws at you, I want you to push your shoulders back, stick your chest out, adjust your crown, and remember who you are. You are a queen, honey. And queens never give up. So come on off of that ledge and let's walk this thing out and do what God has called you to do.
I was passing by the store and had a lady that was standing there like she was ready to cross the road. and the Holy Spirit told me to go and say hi to her. And I was on my way somewhere, but he kept telling me to go and say hi to her. And so I turned around into the parking lot and I came to the back of her. And then I said, "Hello, ma'am. How are you doing?" And she looks back and she says, "Me?" I say, "Yes." I said, "How are you doing?" Because that's all he said was to say hi to her. I said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And she says, "Why are you speaking to me?" I said, "Well, I really don't know, but I just felt like the Holy Spirit told me to come and say hi to you. And just maybe we can talk or something." She said, "I was just about to run out in front of a car and kill myself." Yes. And at that moment, I knew for sure, yes, I did hear from the Holy Spirit.
Many times in life, God blesses me with the opportunity to intervene in situations where young women feel that there is no way out. One of my favorite testimonies is that of my goddaughter, Angela Stanton King. Angela was released from prison.
After serving 2.5 years for a nonviolent crime, I had given birth to my daughter, chained to a bed with the sheriff watching. I had her snatched directly out of my arms.
Her mother died while she was in prison, and her grandmother.
6 months after that, I was given a release to come home with a $25 check and a bus ticket.
Angela had little babies when she was released. She was released with just a few dollars in her pocket. She had nowhere to go and nothing to do.
All I had waiting for me was 4 babies and 3 garbage bags full of clothes. I had lost everything to my name.
When Angela happened to come by, I worked at a charitable organization. I had an office there that I was renting, and I also volunteered for the organization.
Nobody could get a job. I couldn't get any government assistance because at that time I was a convicted felon. And I had every reason to give up because I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel.
I looked at Angela. I didn't have pity. I didn't cry with her, "Oh my goodness," and all of this. I said, "Young lady, there's an opportunity for you to do something great. Grab hold and let's do it."
Today, I'm giving out jobs. Today, I own my own publishing company, my own nonprofit organization, and we together have created nearly more than 500 nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Georgia to serve our community. So don't give up.
She grabbed hold to that lifeline. And today, many years later, her children are grown. Some have graduated from college and have their own careers. And she is glad that she took the lifeline.
I've been there, and bad times don't last always.
So if you're hearing my voice today, there is a lifeline for you. Grab hold. You're beautiful, and there's so much opportunity ahead of you.
After the storm, the sun will shine.
Dear Black girls, I don't know if anyone has ever told you this, but everything about you is beautiful.
God loves you just as much as He loves anyone He has ever created.
And He did something special for you.
He told the sun to show you love early because He knew the world wouldn't appreciate you until much later when the truth was revealed. To some of you, the sun blew a kiss, and to others of you, the sun kissed you long and hard.
That is why you look like everything sweet and brown, from honey to cinnamon to deep dark chocolate. It's called melon, and it was given to protect you as an armor, like shade protects the eyes.
Your hair is your glory, and God fashioned it after the clouds in the sky. Fluffy, puffy, fuzzy with texture, structure, dimension, and flexibility.
Like yarn and rope, or Spanish moss hanging from a tree, it was designed that way for you to express your creativity. He didn't make a mistake.
Don't you understand?
He knows the numbers of curly hairs that are on your head because he placed each one carefully.
It was intentional. Your full facial features and unique spirit were given to you as a gift. Don't believe the lies and don't wear a disguise.
God longs to see you rise. Rise above all the hurt, trauma, and disappointment this life has thrown at you.
Rise to a new understanding of your value. The world needs to see and experience the real you.
Everything that you are was created on purpose.
The authentic you show off God's handiwork and gives him glory.
Accept, appreciate, and celebrate who you truly are.
Because you are so beautiful. You are truly loved.
Your black girl on the street is not a throwaway. You don't know her story. Yeah, they're just looking for someone to say, girl, I got you.
Say hi, she loves you. This is Miss Jill.
Oh, I like your shirt. Let me see the rest of your shirt.
She has all the Afrocentric.
Yes, I like that.
Oh Lord, okay, Jill.
Bold, energetic, authentic, unapologetically totally you. That's my acronym for